The Pokemon TCG Trainer's Toolkit is set for release on October 18th. However, one content creator on YouTube, shoutouts to the Smocks, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they already have a Trainer's Toolkit and they have opened the thing up. And today we are going to talk about the contents of this box so you're aware of what's inside before you buy it. I'm Jed from inthirdperson.com. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about the contents of the Trainer's Toolkit. The thing I wanted to focus on here is the actual Pokemon and trainer cards that come with it. But in case you're wondering, it does come with 4 booster packs. And based on what I watched of the video, it's 2 copies of Stellar Crown, 1 copy of Twilight Masquerade, and 1 copy of Temporal Forces. And now in terms of the Pokemon and the trainer cards that come with the pack, let's hop over to Pokemon TCG Live. I've gone through their video and scraped the cards, and we're going to talk about them here in a little more detail. So we get 57 cards total, which is a little odd. It's 1 card short of what the set came with last year, and I have to watch it over and over again. And in particular, there's 1 card where I'm like, really? There's only 1 copy of this? But I watch it again, and I'm pretty sure the content creator who wasn't speaking in English also said it was only 1 copy of this specific card. But let's go through what we saw in that video, or you should go watch that video, and then you can come back here for my rundown. Usually the Trainer's Toolkit only comes with the promo Pokemon, so this year it actually comes with a couple of more. We already knew that Squawkabilly EX was going to be in the box. It is a awesome Pokemon for the beginning of the game where you get to discard your hand and draw 6 cards. Sometimes once in a blue moon you might use that Motivate attack as well, but mostly it's there to help you dump your hand early so that you can hopefully get better cards while getting some cards that you do want in the discard pile in the discard pile. We also see a couple of other Pokemon, including Tatsugiri, which is starting to see a bit more play with that attract customers ability, where if this Pokemon's in the active spot, you get to look at the top 6 cards of your deck and reveal a supporter card you find there and put it into your hand. This is being used primarily in Dragapult right now, but there are other decks that could use this as well. And then we also see Ditto from 151 with that transformative start ability. Now, we have not seen this one in competitive play really of late, but it is a handy card that when this Pokemon is in the active spot, you can switch it with a basic Pokemon from your deck. So kind of helping you guarantee the Pokemon you really want in the active starts in the active. So nice little tech card in here. Not every deck is going to use this, but I do think that there could be more opportunities to see this card in competitive play in the future. Now let's get into the trainer cards, which is the meat and potatoes of the set. We're getting, and I should preface this because like when we think about trainer cards, we often talk about play sets as in like 4 copies of a card. We are not getting 4 copies of any card in this set, which is standard for Trainer's Toolkits. At most, you're getting 2 copies of a card. Here, we're actually getting single copies of some cards, which is a little odd, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We get 2 copies of Switch, lets you switch your active Pokemon with a benched Pokemon. Ultra Ball lets you discard 2 cards and grab a Pokemon of your choice, any Pokemon. 2 copies of Rare Candy lets you evolve from your basic Pokemon to your stage 2 without having to evolve that middle step for a turn. 2 copies of Arven, very strong card in competitive play, lets you search your deck for an item and a tool card. Earthen Vessel is one of the big wins in this box, lets you discard a card and get 2 basic energy from your deck. 2 copies of Professor's Research. Should note that it's 1 copy of Sada and 1 copy of Turo. Lets you discard your hand and draw 7 cards. 2 copies of Explorer's Guidance. This is an ancient card, kind of like Earthen Vessel, but this one lets you look at the top 6 cards of your deck and you put 2 of them into your hand, then discard the other cards. Another big win in this box is Buddy Buddy Poffin. Lets you search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less and put them onto your bench. And this one can be maybe a little harder, a little more expensive than your standard trainer card. So really nice inclusion here. Also just a card that appears in a ton of decks. In particular, evolution decks are playing most of the time 4 copies of these. Electric Generator is a staple of Lightning decks, lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and then attach up to 2 Lightning Energy you find there onto your benched Pokemon. 2 copies of Countercatcher, another big win. When you're behind on prizes, you can gust an opposing bench Pokemon without having to burn your supporter on something like Boss's Orders, but we do have 2 copies of Boss's Orders in this as well. So Countercatcher, amazing get. Where it gets kind of odd is that we get 1 copy of the Future Booster Capsule as well as 1 copy of the Ancient Capsule. I guess for the sake of squeezing in more trainer cards, they cut these down to 1 each, but it is kind of odd to only get 1 Ancient and 1 Future Booster Capsule. Would have liked to have seen 2 of each of these. We also get 2 copies of Iono, fantastic trainer card. Both players shuffle their hands, put it to the bottom of their deck, and then draw equal to the number of prize cards remaining. It is a phenomenal card for hand disruption, as well as being able to refresh your own hand. Lana's Aid is not seeing that much play right now. The only deck I can think of that runs it right now is the Iron Valiant Ursaluna deck, but it is a good card in theory. It lets you put 3 in any combination of Pokemon that don't have a rule box and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. So it is a little situational. Only certain decks can run it, but those that can will love this card. 2 copies of Professor Turo's Scenario lets you put one of your Pokemon in play into your hand and you discard all cards attached to that Pokemon. It's sort of like a healing option. Some decks will run 1 copy of this to scoop up a damaged Pokemon or help it retreat in situations where it gets stuck, or just remove something off the board like a Lumineon that you don't want in play anymore. Professor Turo is really nice for that. 2 copies of Professor Sada's Vitality lets you choose 2 of your ancient Pokemon and attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to each of them and then draw 3 cards. This is a staple in any sort of ancient based deck, whether it's Ancient Box or Roaring Moon. So really nice inclusion here. Superior Energy Retrieval lets you discard 2 cards and then draw up to 4 basic energy from your discard pile back into your hand. Fantastic inclusion. One of the weird ones, though, is only 1 copy of Super Rod. I had to rewatch the video multiple times, and I'm pretty sure they also said only 1 copy of Super Rod. Maybe it was a mistake in the box. Maybe they had it stuck to another card, but we only saw 1 Super Rod in the deck. It's a fantastic card. Lets you shuffle up to 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. 2 copies of Technical Machine Evolution, where for 1 energy you get to evolve up 2 of your Pokemon on the bench to the next evolution. Really nice card. 2 copies of Nest Ball to get our basic Pokemon down onto our bench. 2 copies of Rescue Board to reduce retreat cost by 1. Bug Catching Set is a card that's really great for grass decks, where you get to look at the top 7 cards of your deck and put up to 2 in any combination of grass Pokemon and basic grass energy from that 7 and then put those into your hand. So if you're playing something like a Hydrapple or an Ogre Pond based deck, Bug Catching Set is really nice. For those future decks, Techno Radar lets you discard a card and then search your deck for 2 future Pokemon and put them into your hand. We also have 2 copies of Boss's Orders, lets you gust an opposing bench Pokemon into the active, and then 2 copies of Enhanced Hammer, where you get to discard a special energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon, just knock it out of play. In particular, get that legacy energy out of here so that you can take 2 prizes again, or that a regular amount of prizes versus 1 less when they have that legacy energy on. And then there's a couple special energy in the deck, or in this trainer's toolkit as well, such as Jet Energy, and that lets you launch your bench Pokemon into the active after you attach it. Really nice card. And then Reversal Energy, which we don't see all that much in competitive play right now, but it's really good in decks that can use it, where you are attaching it to a non-rule box Pokemon when you're behind on prizes so that it gives them triple rainbow energy. Overall, I think it's a solid trainer's toolkit relative to some of the trainer's toolkits we've had in the past, with that promo Pokemon being a support Pokemon. We've seen Lumineon in the Squawkabilly spot, as well as Crobat. Arceus feels like a little bit of a one-off. I think that was the best promo, and that was last year, but Squawkabilly is a solid card that does appear in a bunch of decks. There are a couple of omissions. I think the big one is that there's no A-Spec in the Trainer's Toolkit, which is really unfortunate because the community is fiending for A-Specs. And unfortunately, this would have been a great spot to include one, but we didn't get one this time. Maybe it's something we keep our fingers crossed for next year. And there are a couple of trainer cards. I think one of the big ones is that any sort of F block cards, so yellow borders, stuff like Canceling Cologne, Capturing Aroma, Collapse Stadium, a lot of stuff that's still meta relevant right now is not in the box, and that's because those cards are rotating in the spring of 2025, and this Trainer's Toolkit needs to be on store shelves longer than that rotation. So none of those relevant trainer cards like an Irida or a Collapse Stadium or Temple of Sinnoh are not going to be in this box, and that's a little unfortunate, but totally understandable considering the circumstances. Also missing from this are some of the newest trainer cards like Area Zero Underdepths and Crispin and Janine's Secret Art, Culrus's Tenacity, a couple of the newer cards from sets like Shrouded Fable and Stellar Crown. Those are not in the set, and I think that's in large part because of production lead times, where the production of those newer sets, it doesn't align with the production of the Trainer's Toolkit, so they can't squeeze those in there at the last minute. So unfortunately, those cards are not in there, but I think overall the lineup in the Trainer's Toolkit this year is pretty solid. But what say you? Do you like the cards that you're getting in here? What cards do you think are being left out? Oh, another one I think is left out. Bravery Charm would have been nice to include in the set, which isn't in this year's set or last year's set, which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, what other cards did you want to see in the Trainer's Toolkit? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you're picking this one up. But for now, I gotta get going. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me on all the things: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at InThirdPerson. You can find me on Twitch at InThirdPerson, where I stream the Pokemon trading card game every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And check out the website InThirdPerson.com for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits. So until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.